Sí, vamos a ver el directo.
Pide, yo te diría también que pongas por Instagram y por historias
Un
de
minuto.
WhatsApp. Un minuto. Amigo, ¿sabes cuál fue mi último evento que vi? El del cohete, amigo.
No se me queda quieto el personaje porque...
Gente, estamos aquí en directo, estamos, Joaco Ahmed, es un evento de Fortnite, ahora en 1 minuto y 30 segundos empieza. Estamos en el canal Joaco Ahmed y en el de un amigo, y bueno, ya saben, pónganse canal Joaco Ahmed.
Che, ¿cómo? Tengo que tocar...
Estamos aquí en directo, estamos Joaco Ahmed, es un evento de Fortnite, ahora en 1 minuto y 30 segundos empieza. Estamos en el canal Joaco Ahmed y el de un amigo, y bueno, ya saben, pónganse canal Joaco Ahmed. Un evento que vi a mí fue el del cohete, 50 segundos encima con mi mejor amigo José.
Che, lo peor es que... Ah, no, ahí estamos, acá. 0 minutos.
40 segundos, gente. Sí, se me pone el pito.
Re turbio el chabón.
¿Ponemos música, gente? No. Subir el volumen máximo de Fortnite. Pero el máximo todo, amigo.
Yo ya lo tengo subido todo.
Che, un poco más.
12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 0.
What?
What the fuck?
¿Me escamearon?
No, soy tuteado.
Ahora de empezar.
A bailar, gente. A bailar. ¡Vámonos! ¡Amigo! ¡Go! ¡Épico, hermano! ¡Vamos!
¡Amigo, está buenardo!
¡Está buenardo! Política.
No, están diciendo porque viste que mataron a un negro. Oh, qué paja,
We are having a very candid conversation with athletes and artists who want to make sure that you use your voice to vote. Voting is your voice. So we have so many different issues that have happened in this country. It's really, truly unprecedented time. So I'm looking forward to these conversations.
Para que un tarado se puso
entertained, but most importantly informed. We have morethanavote.org, whenweallvote.org, and fairfight.com. Those resources are imperative as we try to change our future.
Eran
There's no
racistas,
way that
la
we can
verdad.
talk about hip hop. Or even
Sí, los policías mataron a un negro en ese
black
alto
voter
común.
suppression without bringing in this guy straight from Port Arthur, Texas. We are talking about Bun B. He is an activist, a scholar, and an all-around gentleman. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. Bun, I don't want to start heavy, but I guess I have to because that's where we are in the world today. It's heavy as hell. And when you think about what needs to happen in this country in terms of change, what's the first thing that you think of?
Equality. That's pretty much the first thing that comes to mind, right? Black people need to be seen as equals in this world. You know, we had to fight just to be recognized as a full citizen in this country and not 3/5.
The world is now seeing what we've
Hola, ¿quién sos?
in the culture and in the community.
El tren me parece que es Yo Figueroa.
I hear people all the time talking about one vote doesn't matter and that voting doesn't make a difference. If that's true, why do they work so hard to suppress the black vote? Because they understand the power of the vote. And so it's time that black people collectively also understand the power of their vote. And not just on a national level, because a lot of times we only have this conversation every 4 years. People need to be very much involved in their local politics. They need to understand who their elected officials are, where they stand on issues that affect you. And you need to use your vote to either support the ones that care about you and your condition, or to elect people who do. A newer initiative that we're dealing with is educating felons, right? So in the state of Texas, if you're a felon, right, if you've been to jail but you're no longer on probation or parole, you have the right to register to vote. Another thing that was just brought to my attention, there's an initiative called Orange, which is happening not just in Houston, but all over the country. If you're in jail currently during pretrial, but you have not been convicted, like you're still in jail waiting for your day in court, you are still eligible to vote.
And you said something so key. They work so hard to hope that we stay uninformed, but more importantly, to suppress the black vote. If you could do one thing with this message that we're trying to send today, what type of images would you like our people to understand and see when they go to these polls and vote, or when they cast their ballots?
I think the images that we've all seen, you know what I'm saying, for decades in this country, if not centuries in this country, we've seen black people oppressed, we've seen black people attacked. So every time you look back and you see those old black and white images of people of color being attacked by dogs and people of color being sprayed with hoses, that's what they were fighting for. Back then, they were just fighting for a chance to vote. People like
nah, boludo, se me junta gente. La concha del mono.
¿Qué pisa que no se me junta nadie?
Be in a position to have the power that we have
Se
now,
ponen, pero al menos
to
puedo
be
ver.
able to cast a vote and make a decision about the people that have control over our lives. So, I mean, if you in your own community need a reason to vote, look at a person like George Floyd. If the people in your are not open to having the conversation about police, are not open to equality, the power to put people in those positions who do believe that Black Lives Matter, who do believe in racial equality, economic equality, judicial equality, right? Who see us as human beings. And if the people in your community don't feel that way, vote them out. It's that simple. Just vote them out. We don't have enough time to sit around and hope that people change their minds.
Yeah, Bumpy, you point out something so important. We have the power. And that is in our vote, and that is with our voice, and that's how we use our voice. I think of where we are right now. People say this is not just a moment, it is a movement. Why, in your opinion, was it George Floyd's death? Why was that the chosen mentality for people to say, oh my God, white people are still oppressed in this country? And it is not fair.
I think it's twofold, Carrie. In so many different encounters between people of color and the police, there simply is no proof of what happened in the interaction. And so what happens is, in a court of law, it tends to lean towards the policeman's point of view, right? In this case, we saw very clearly what happened. I think the other thing is due to the fact that everyone was at home,
sí, el chabón este se está cruzando, boludo, re molesto esto.
To the coronavirus, you couldn't avoid it, right? It was on every television station, it was on every social media platform. Everywhere you turn, you were constantly hit by the head with this message. You see in the interaction that this man did nothing to deserve what happened.
That's right. I think it's so well said, because if you think about it, in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't worth it, and he didn't have to lose his life. I think that we touched on something that a lot of people talk about, and that is
Figueroa, ¿se escucha bien o se escucha más o menos?
Such a huge conversation, but there's so many misconceptions around defunding and dismantling.
A mí nadie está viendo
if you will, educate your
me está viendo Figueroa.
Right, so most people, when they hear the term defunding,
no
they tend
jode.
to think of, oh, they're going to take away our police department. Nothing
No,
could
se
be
fue.
further from the point. Defunding the police means that in certain communities, even in Houston, for example, we had over $1 billion allocated to our police.
¿Qué pisada, boludo? Se me junta toda la peña, la puta madre.
To be allocated towards riot shields, right? Pepper spray, right? That kind of thing. That's only used against the people that fund this budget. Right, so why would the people want to...
Ma, ¿puedo cerrar la puerta que me molesta? ¿No puedo escuchar bien?
If the police are concerned about the situations in certain communities with a higher crime rate, well, higher crime rates tend to happen in communities where there's not employment opportunities, right? There's not a lot of social services, and people are going to do what they need to do to take care of themselves and their families. When the community has opportunities for employment, more opportunities for upward mobility, then they tend to be a less of a strain on the government. They tend to have a lower crime rate, and because of that, we'll have less need for the police in those
¿Ahí te
communities.
molestó?
You are passionate
no
about
pasa
so
nada.
many
Total, yo tengo que ver la
different
pantalla.
things in terms of making sure that we are holding our leaders accountable. Talk to me about some of the other projects that you're working on.
Well, right now, obviously, being a part of More Than a Vote is essential. We're dealing with primaries in this country right now, and we just want to educate people. We want to inform people because people are tired, they're angry, they're concerned, and they want information and they want action. And so we want to make sure that we give them the right information
Me
and
mueve
lead
solo
them
el
in the right
personaje,
direction. And we thank
hermano.
the people that do not look like us for standing with us right now, because it's very important that people who aren't black be involved, because if black people could have gotten rid of racism, we would have done it hundreds of years ago. And council meets to let them know that that's not the way that they feel their city needs to be run. Those are not the places that they feel the money of their community needs to be allocated.
And Bubby, even a step further, they can run for
Ahora
office
bajo
in their
más porque
local
estoy en un evento
community.
y no
They
puedo
can
escuchar
run for
bien.
positions. Like, people act like they leave it up to somebody else.
Ahora
If you're
vuelvo.
upset, it's not hard to get on the school board. It's not hard to be a part of the city council. It really isn't. And depending on how small your town is, you could be a mayor. It's the power is with the people, and we need to just know that that's happening.
Absolutely. And it's always been with the people. You know, if you look at Trayvon Martin's mother, Sabrina Fulton, right? She felt that there was a system of racism and a system of oppression that led to her son's death. And so what did she do? She ran for city council and she was elected city council. Our own former president, 44, Barack Obama, right? Started in the community as an activist, ran for an elected position, became senator, ran for another elected position, and became president of the United States. So don't think that you can't make a difference. You know what I'm saying? You don't need a lot of money. You don't need a lot of power. Your voice is enough to make a difference.
Amen. I feel like I need to go out and run for something. You gave me a rousing speech there, sir. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you this. When I talk to my brothers, I have to ask you, as a black man, how are you doing? Are you okay?
I'm good. I'm good. I have a very strong relationship with God, so prayer definitely works for me. I have children and grandchildren who are watching me, who are encouraged by what I do, and they're proud of me right now, you know, and that's really what matters, you know. The change starts at home, you know, so as long as you have a support system that believes in what you're doing and supports you in what you're doing, you have everything you need to go out there and fight the good fight. And for those that don't, there's a community of people here to help you. So you can go to places like morethanavote.org. There are many different places that will encourage you, inform you, and they will put you with groups of people that feel like you, that are ready to take action. So no one has to go about this alone if they want to do it.
Yeah, we're stronger together. People have been saying it, but that has much more meaning now that we are in our movement, not just this moment. Bumby, it has been an education, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Keep fighting the good fight.
Keep up the good fight.
Yeah, la.
So our next guest, I have to admit, I'm a fan, but there are so many different people that we could talk to, and I thought it was so imperative that we speak with her. You know her as Molly on the huge, successful show Insecure, HBO's Insecure. She also has a comedy special highlighting her Nigerian roots, and she's an amazing You have such a beautiful way of making things funny, giving us our medicine with some candy, right? The humor and the healing. You bring all of that to your space. And right now, as you look across this country and how everyone is so broken and so upset, if it's not social injustice, it's the pandemic, it's depression, it's the list goes on and on. How are you doing, quite frankly?
You know, I'm rediscovering self in a way that is hard but necessary, that will lead to ultimate joy. I know it sounds like a lot, but no, I think I personally think that God put all of us on a global timeout. Like, we just, America hasn't done as good as other people when it comes to timeouts, because everyone else is out playing at recess, and we're still in the principal's office hoping and wishing we can come out. But I think that if we settle into the timeout and really learn the lesson that we're supposed to learn from this season, I think we'll emerge better. We'll learn how to play well with others in more ways than one. And so personally for me, I'm taking this time to learn me in a new way. I feel like I'm being ushered into a new season, and I'm getting still, because sometimes the busy confounds the work that we're supposed to actually be doing. We're busy doing other stuff, but we got work that we need to do on the inside. And I'm leaning into it. I'm like, dang, I thought I was gonna be able to rest like everybody else. And God's like, nah, we got work to do.
You know what? And I think that's what everybody is saying about 2020. It's demanding that we be better. And you said it's a global timeout. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, it's like everyone sit down, be humble, to quote the great prophet Kendrick Lamar. But like, no, seriously, sit down and let's reevaluate some things. Let us unearth and shake up the things that we have been trying to hide within ourselves, within our nation. I think America is going through an unraveling right now, a much needed, a much necessary one. And I think all eyes on us, right? There is no, oh, I was on the subway for an hour, so I didn't miss that thing that happened. No, everybody was home. Everybody, was watching when George Floyd died, and everybody, no one could hide it. Everyone was watching when Amy Cooper called the cops. Like, this is a time where it's like, oh, we can't pretend it away. We can't excuse it away. No, 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 no. It's a global timeout. Sit down, watch, and let's learn. And globally, it's like, hey, we were going business as usual, but it ain't usual no more. Like that's old. Anytime change occurs, it's very uncomfortable. And so right now we're sitting with we're getting we're getting comfortable with the uncomfortable.
The minorities, we've been comfortable with being uncomfortable because that to me explains
Shanky
just the
careta que tiene
existence
ahí,
for whatever we
pues.
want to do, how we break into our
Me
careers,
estoy
how we live our
aburriendo,
lives, how
la
we
verdad
find
que no.
ourselves one of the few or one of the
Yo no.
first. And that's a
Yo sí.
lonely road. When you
Así que ni
look,
voy
Porque
a
vos no
ver.
lo
we talk
entendés.
about this global timeout, everybody had to pay attention to Amy Cooper. Everyone had to pay attention to George Floyd.
Sí.
How is that helping us as a people, as a country during our global timeout?
I think, well, one, we're not minorities, Carrie. You already know it. It's like
Tengo
these
roto el
labels
set.
that they put on us. It's like the same way of saying like black on black violence. Also, there's no white on white violence. It's branding,
Yeah,
right?
right.
It's all
Yeah,
branding.
you're right. You're
And it's
right.
like white people kill white people every single